Engineer Choi Min-ho wiped sweat from his forehead as he crawled through another maintenance tunnel deep inside the alien prison station. For the past 4 days, he'd been working around the clock to keep the failing life support systems from completely shutting down. The Etherian technology was unlike anything he'd ever seen before, but desperation had made him learn fast. "Captain, I've managed to boost power to Section 7, Min-ho's voice crackled through the comm system. "But these systems are ancient. They're held together with hope and spare parts at this point." Back in what used to be the station's medical wing, Dr. Yoon Ha-na carefully examined another Etherian survivor. The tall, silver-skinned beings were severely malnourished after centuries of rationed food supplies. Their large eyes had lost much of their natural glow, and many couldn't stand without assistance. "Their metabolism is completely different from ours," Hana reported to Captain Lee Jinwoo. "They process energy directly from certain crystal formations, but those crystals have been depleted for decades. They've been slowly starving." Jinwoo watched as Hana gently helped an Etherian child, if that's what it was, back to its sleeping pod. The being looked so fragile, like it might fade away at any moment. The sight made his chest tight with anger. Meanwhile, in the station's central computer core, Lieutenant Commander Jang Seung-ho had been diving deep into the facility's database. The security encryption was tough, but human computer specialists had always been good at breaking codes that weren't meant to be broken. "Got it!" Seung-ho suddenly shouted, making everyone on the bridge jump. "Captain, you need to see this immediately." Jin-woo hurried over to Seung-ho's workstation, where lines of alien text scrolled across multiple screens. The translation software was working overtime to convert the data into something humans could understand. "This is incredible, sir." "And terrifying," Seung-ho said, his face pale. "They call it the Extinction Protocol. It's a systematic program for eliminating entire species that won't cooperate with the Galactic Council's resource demands." Jinwoo read over Seung-ho's shoulder, his anger growing with every line. The documents laid out a cold, calculating process. First, economic pressure and diplomatic threats. If that failed, staged incidents to justify military action. Finally, relocation to hidden prison stations while the galaxy was told the species had been destroyed by natural disasters. "Look at this list," Seung-ho continued, pointing to a long column of species names. "The Vortha crystalline beings supposedly died in a meteor impact. The aquatic Myrtai, allegedly wiped out by ocean acidification. The energy-based luminari claimed to have been consumed by their own star-going supernova." "But they're all still alive, aren't they?" Jinwoo asked quietly. "According to these files, yes, hidden in stations just like this one, scattered across dead systems throughout the galaxy." Commander Park So-young approached with her tablet, her usually calm expression replaced by barely controlled fury. "Captain, I've been running numbers on the life support systems. At current deterioration rates, complete failure is inevitable within 6 months, maybe less." Jinwoo looked around at the Etherian survivors, moving slowly through the corridors, their movements weak but dignified. Children clung to their parents, and elders shared what little energy they had left with the younger generation. These weren't statistics in a report. These were people with families, dreams, and stories that deserved to be told. From across the bridge, their alien liaison Voss finally spoke up. The Sectari had been unusually quiet since they'd boarded the station, his scales cycling through various shades of distress. "Captain Lee," Voss said carefully, "perhaps we should report this discovery through proper council channels. There may be administrative errors that can be corrected." Pilot Nam Kyung-suk, who'd been checking navigation systems, let out a harsh laugh. "Administrative errors? Voss, they've been committing genocide for centuries. The proper authorities should handle this matter," Voss insisted, but his voice lacked conviction. "How you mean the same authorities who put these people here in the first place?" Kyung-suk shot back. "The same council that's been lying to the entire galaxy about wiping out dozens of species?" Jinwoo walked to the main view screen, looking out at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, other species were dying in similar hidden prisons while the galaxy went about its business, never knowing they existed. The thought made him sick. "Sir," Communications Officer Kim Tae-hyun called out. I'm receiving a priority message from Earth Command. They're asking for our status report. Jin Woo knew this was the moment that would define not just his career, but possibly humanity's entire relationship with the galactic community. He could report the discovery through official channels and hope someone else would fix the problem. Or he could do what every instinct told him was right. He activated the ship's intercom system. "All hands, this is the captain. What we've discovered here changes everything. We've found evidence of systematic genocide being carried out by the very organization that's supposed to protect peaceful species throughout the galaxy." The bridge went completely silent, except for the hum of electronics and the distant sound of Minho's repair work echoing through the corridors. "Kim, prepare an encrypted burst transmission to Earth Command. Maximum priority, eyes-only classification. Tell them we need every available ship, every supply vessel, every piece of medical equipment they can spare. We're initiating a full-scale rescue operation." Voss's scales immediately shifted to a bright warning red, and he backed away from the communication station. "Captain Lee, you cannot interfere with Council policy. This is a direct violation of interstellar law. This will mean war with the most powerful alliance in the galaxy." Jinwoo turned to face the alien, his expression calm but determined. "Then we'll have war, Voss, because abandoning innocent people to die isn't who we are. It's not who humans are, and it's not who we'll ever be. But the consequences," Voss started. "The consequences of doing nothing are worse," Jinwoo interrupted. "How do we explain to our children that we found people dying and walked away because it might cause trouble?" Park So-young stepped forward, her tablet clutched tightly in her hands. "Captain, if we do this, there's no going back. The Council will declare us enemies of galactic peace." "Then let them," Jinwoo replied. "At least we'll be able to sleep." At night, Kim Tae-hyun looked up from his communication console. "Message ready for transmission, sir. Earth Command will receive it in approximately 6 hours." "Send it," Jinwoo ordered without hesitation. As the encrypted signal burst toward Earth at faster-than-light speed, carrying with it a request that would mobilize the largest rescue operation in human history, Jinwoo felt a strange sense of peace. They were about to take on the most powerful political organization in the galaxy, armed with nothing but determination and a stubborn refusal to let innocent people die. Somewhere in the depths of the station, Keeper Nal felt the shift in the human's emotional state through his telepathic abilities. For the first time in 3 centuries, he allowed himself to feel something he'd almost forgotten existed. Hope. The war for the forgotten had begun. The maintenance tunnels of the Etherian prison station were barely wide enough for a human to crawl through, but engineer Choi Min-ho squeezed through them anyway, his toolkit clanging against the metal walls. Sparks flew from damaged power conduits as he worked, the acrid smell of burning circuits filling the cramped space. "These power systems are running on fumes," Min-ho muttered into his comm unit, sweat dripping onto his work goggles. "It's like trying to fix a car that's been underwater for 300 years. He pulled out another burnt-out component, shaking his head at the improvised repairs the Etherians had made over the centuries. They'd cannibalized parts from one section to keep another running, creating a patchwork network that should have failed decades ago. "Captain, I've managed to restore power to Medical Bay 3, but the atmospheric processors are held together with crystalline thread and prayer," Min-ho reported. "Every time I fix one thing, 2 more systems start failing." Deep in the medical wing, Dr. Yun Hana carefully examined her latest patient, an elderly Etherian whose silver skin had dulled to a sickly gray. The being's breathing was shallow, and when Hana checked her scanner readings, she felt her heart sink. "Their cellular structure is breaking down," she explained to her medical assistant, Nurse Lee Hyun-soo. "They need specific mineral compounds that haven't been available on this station for decades. They're literally starving at the molecular level." Hana moved to the next patient, a young Etherian who couldn't have been more than the equivalent of a human teenager. The being's large eyes tracked her movements, and through the translation device whispered a single word: "Water." "We're doing everything we can," Hana said softly, adjusting the IV drip that was providing basic nutrients. But she knew it wasn't enough. These people needed their homeworld, needed the crystal formations that had sustained their species for millions of years. Meanwhile, on the station's central command deck, Lieutenant Commander Jang Sung-ho had been hunched over the alien computer systems for nearly 72 hours straight. His eyes were bloodshot from staring at screens filled with encrypted data, but what he was discovering kept him going despite his exhaustion. "This is unbelievable," he muttered, fingers flying over the holographic interface. The Etherian computer systems were incredibly advanced, using quantum processors that made human technology look primitive. But their security protocols hadn't been updated in centuries, making them vulnerable to modern hacking techniques. "Got you," Sung-ho whispered, as another layer of encryption cracked open. What he found made his blood run cold. The files revealed the systematic program called the Extinction Protocol, complete with detailed procedures, target lists, and progress reports. Species that refused to surrender their resources were classified as obstacles to galactic prosperity and marked for elimination. But it wasn't quick extermination, it was slow, deliberate torture. The Council would stage natural disasters or conflicts to justify relocating entire populations to these hidden prison stations. Then they'd announce to the galaxy that the species had been tragically wiped out while secretly strip-mining their homeworlds. "Captain Jinwoo, you need to see this immediately," Sung-ho called out, his voice shaking with anger. Jinwoo rushed over, still wearing his environmental suit from another inspection of the station's lower levels. What he saw on the screens made his stomach turn. The Vorthak crystalline beings, Sung-ho pointed to one file. The Council claimed they were destroyed when a rogue asteroid shattered their crystal moon, but they're actually imprisoned in a station near the Rigel sector. The aquatic Myrtai, he continued, opening another file, supposedly extinct due to ocean acidification, actually relocated to an underwater facility in the Oceanus system. And the luminary energy beings, Sung-ho's voice grew more strained. The galaxy was told they were consumed when their home star went supernova, but they're trapped in containment fields, somewhere in the Void Nebula. Jinwoo stared at the endless list of species names, each representing billions of lives erased from galactic history. "How many total?" "At least 47 confirmed extinctions over the past 500 years, Sung-ho replied. "And this is just one regional database. There could be hundreds more." Commander Park So-young approached with her portable scanner, her usually calm expression replaced by barely contained fury. She'd been running diagnostics on every system throughout the massive station, and the results painted a grim picture. "Captain, the life support systems are failing faster than Minho can repair them," she reported, her tablet displaying cascading system failures in red warning text. "Main atmospheric processing will shut down completely within 4 months. Water recycling has maybe 6 months left, and the power core..." She paused, checking her numbers again. "The power core is operating at 12% capacity and dropping." Jinwoo looked around at the Etherian survivors moving through the corridors. Despite their weakness, they maintained their dignity, helping each other and sharing what little they had. Children played quietly in corners, while adults worked to maintain what systems they could. From his position near the communication array, Voss finally broke his 3-day silence. The reptilian sectari had been unusually subdued since learning about the Extinction Protocol, his scales cycling through colors Jinwoo had never seen before. "Captain Lee," Voss said carefully, his translator converting his nervous hisses, "perhaps we should report this discovery through proper council channels. There may be administrative oversights that can be corrected through official procedures." Pilot Nam Kyung-suk, who'd been plotting potential escape routes from the system, looked up from her navigation console and laughed bitterly. "Administrative oversights? Voss, they've been systematically murdering entire species for 500 years. The proper authorities must be informed," Voss insisted, but his tail was twitching nervously. "There are procedures, protocols that must be followed." "You mean the same authorities who designed these death camps?" Kyung-suk shot back, gesturing at the deteriorating station around them. "The same council that's been lying to the entire galaxy about committing genocide?" Jinwoo walked to the main observation window, looking out at the cold stars beyond. Somewhere in this galaxy, dozens of other species were dying in similar prisons while the universe went about its business, never knowing they existed. The thought made him physically ill. Communications Officer Kim Tae-hyun suddenly straightened at his station. "Captain, I'm receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command. They're requesting our mission status and asking why we've been radio silent for 4 days." Jin-woo knew this was the moment that would define not just his career, but possibly humanity's entire future in the galactic community. He could file a standard report, request backup through official channels, and hope someone else would handle the moral complexities. Or he could do what every fiber of his being told him was right. He activated the ship's internal communication system. "All hands, this is Captain Lee. What we've discovered here will change everything we thought we knew about the Galactic Council. We've uncovered evidence of systematic genocide being carried out by the very organization that claims to protect peace and justice throughout the galaxy." The bridge fell silent, except for the distant hum of failing life support systems and the sound of Minho's desperate repair work echoing through the corridors. "Kim, prepare an encrypted burst transmission to Earth Command. Maximum security encryption, eyes only for the Admiral Council. Tell them we need every available ship, every medical vessel, every supply transport they can mobilize. We're initiating the largest rescue operation in human history." Voss's scales immediately blazed bright red, the sectari warning coloration, and he backed away from the communications console as if it had become radioactive. "Captain Lee, you cannot do this," Voss hissed, his translator struggling to keep up with his rapid speech. "This is direct interference with Council policy. This violates every treaty humanity has signed. This will mean war with the most powerful alliance in the galaxy." Jin-woo turned to face the alien, his expression calm but filled with unshakable determination. "Then we'll have war, Voss, because abandoning innocent people to die isn't who we are. It's not who humans are, and it's not who we'll ever become." Kim Tae-hyun looked up from his console, finger hovering over the transmission button. "Message ready, Captain. Earth Command will receive it in approximately 6 hours." "Send it," Jin-woo ordered without hesitation. As the encrypted signal burst toward Earth, carrying with it a request that would change the course of galactic history, Jin-woo felt a strange peace settle over him. They were about to challenge the most powerful organization in known space, armed with nothing but stubborn human determination and an absolute refusal to let innocent people die. In the medical bay, Keeper Nal suddenly lifted his head, his telepathic abilities detecting the shift in human emotions throughout the station. For the first time in 3 centuries, he felt something he'd thought was lost forever: hope. The response from Earth Command came faster than anyone expected. Within hours of receiving Captain Lee Jin-woo's encrypted message, every human colony, space station, and military outpost received the same urgent transmission: mobilize everything. Admiral Shin Dong-wook stood on the bridge of the massive battleship, indomitable, watching as hundreds of human vessels assembled in the staging area near Jupiter. Hospital ships, cargo haulers, mining vessels, even luxury cruise liners, anything that could carry people and supplies had been pressed into service. "Sir, final count shows 847 vessels ready for deployment," reported his aide, Commander Bae Soo-jin. "That's 3 times larger than our entire military fleet." Shin nodded grimly. When Earth civilians heard what was happening, they volunteered their own ships. Merchant captains, tourist operators, even retired military personnel came out. Of retirement, they said they couldn't live with themselves if they did nothing. The operation was codenamed Never Forgotten, and it was unlike anything humanity had ever attempted. Instead of conquering territory or resources, they were racing against time to save people the galaxy had written off as dead. 2 weeks after Jin-woo's discovery, the first wave of rescue ships arrived at the Etherian prison station. The Relentless Hope suddenly found itself surrounded by a small city of human vessels, each one equipped with medical facilities, living quarters, and everything needed to sustain thousands of refugees. "It's beautiful," whispered Keeper Nal, as he watched through the observation windows. The old Etherian had tears in his large eyes, as human ships formed protective formations around their dying prison. I had forgotten what hope looked like, but the Etherian station was just the beginning. Jin-woo's discovery had revealed dozens of other dead systems that showed signs of hidden installations. Admiral Shin divided his fleet into smaller task forces, each one targeting a different sector of supposedly empty space. Captain Lim Jae-sung commanded the task force sent to investigate the Epsilon sector. His 3 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel near a system that had supposedly been destroyed by asteroid impacts 500 years ago. "Captain, I'm detecting artificial structures on the 3rd planet," reported his scanner operator. "But they're unlike anything I've ever seen. What they found changed everything they thought they knew about life in the universe. The Vorthak weren't biological beings at all. They were living creatures made entirely of sentient crystal. Their prison facility was built inside an asteroid mine, where they'd been slowly losing their cohesion without the specific radiation from their home star. They're like living gemstones," breathed Dr. Park Min-jung as she examined one of the Vorthak survivors. The crystalline being was barely 3 feet tall, its body composed of interlocking crystal formations that pulsed with faint inner light. Their entire consciousness exists in the harmonic resonance between their crystal structures. The Vorthak communicated through light patterns and harmonic frequencies. When they learned that humans had come to rescue them, their bodies blazed with colors that had no names in human language, pure expressions of joy and gratitude. Meanwhile, in the Oceanus system, Commander Oh Yeon-seo made an even more remarkable discovery. Her submarine-capable ships found the aquatic Myrtai in massive underwater facilities that had been hidden beneath the polar ice caps of a frozen world. "They're beautiful," Oh reported back to Admiral Shin. "Imagine dolphins, but 8 feet long with 6 arms and bioluminescent skin patterns. They've been living in these underwater cities for 3 centuries, but their water recycling systems are completely contaminated. The Myrtai had developed their own technology based on biotechnology and living coral systems. Their cities were grown rather than built, with organic walls that filtered water and provided food. But without proper maintenance, their living buildings were dying. The children are the most affected," Dr. Song Hai-ran reported from the rescue ships. "They're born with deformities because the water has been poisoned for so long. But they're incredibly intelligent. They learned basic human language in just 3 days. The most incredible discovery came when navigator Kim Hae-jin detected strange energy patterns in the Theta system. Her ship, the Pathfinder, approached what appeared to be empty space, but her instruments showed massive energy concentrations. "Captain, there's something here, but I can't see it visually," Hae-jin reported to her commanding officer. "It's like the energy is being contained in some kind of invisible prison." What they found defied every law of physics humanity understood. The Luminari were beings of pure energy, living lightning that had achieved consciousness. They had been trapped in containment fields for 300 years, slowly losing cohesion as their energy was drained to power the prison systems. "They're trying to communicate," reported the ship's communication officer, Lee Jong-soo. "But they speak in electromagnetic pulses. It's like trying to have a conversation with a star." When the humans finally figured out how to safely release the containment fields, the Luminari burst free in brilliant displays of light that could be seen across half the solar system. Their gratitude was expressed in aurora patterns that painted the nearby planets in sheets of dancing color. Each rescue operation became more dangerous as the Galactic Council realized what humanity was doing. Hegemony warships began patrolling the dead systems, trying to intercept human rescue fleets before they could reach the hidden prisons. Captain Han Soo-jin commanded the escort battle group protecting the rescue ships heading for the Vorthak prison. When 3 hegemony cruisers moved to intercept them, she made a decision that would become legendary in human space naval history. "All rescue ships, continue to the planet," she ordered over the comm. "Battle group, with me. We're going to buy them time." The battle was fierce but brief. Human ships were smaller and faster than the massive hegemony vessels, using hit-and-run tactics to keep the enemy occupied, while the rescue ships completed their mission. When the hegemony cruisers finally retreated, over 2,000 Vorthak survivors were safely aboard human vessels. The Galactic Council's response was swift and predictable. Economic sanctions were imposed on all human colonies. Trade agreements were cancelled. Diplomatic relations were severed. But the humans kept coming. Admiral Shin held a conference with his fleet commanders via holographic projection their faces appearing around a three-dimensional tactical display showing the positions of dozens of rescue operations across the galaxy. "Gentlemen and ladies," Shin began, his weathered face serious but determined, "the Council thinks they can make us stop by cutting off our trade routes and freezing our assets. They believe we'll choose economic comfort over moral duty." He paused, looking at each of his commanders in turn. They thought they could make entire species disappear because no one would care enough to look for them. They thought wrong about that, and they're wrong about us. Captain Lim spoke up from his position near the Vorthak rescue site. "Admiral, we've confirmed 17 more hidden facilities in this sector alone. Each one contains thousands of survivors who need immediate medical attention. My task force has identified possible prison sites in 23 systems," added Commander O from her aquatic rescue operation. "The Mirtai have provided star charts showing where other species might be hidden." Admiral Shin smiled grimly. "Then we keep going, every ship, every crew, every resource we have, because this isn't just about rescuing these people. It's about proving that some things are more important than politics and profit." Throughout human space, the message was clear. Cargo ships were being retrofitted with medical bays. Passenger liners were converted into refugee transports. Mining vessels were equipped with life support systems capable of sustaining dozens of different alien species. But perhaps most importantly, the rescued species themselves were joining the effort. Etherian telepaths provided coordination between human fleets. Vorthak crystal technology enhanced human communication systems. Mirtai biotechnology helped develop new life support systems. And the Luminari used their energy abilities to power rescue operations in systems too dangerous for conventional ships. The galaxy had never seen anything like it, a growing alliance of the forgotten, led by a species that refused to let anyone be abandoned. And it was just the beginning. In hidden prisons throughout the galaxy, beings who had given up hope began to feel something they hadn't experienced in centuries, the possibility that someone actually cared enough to find them. The Age of the Galactic. Council's unchallenged rule was coming to an end, one rescue at a time. The coordinates came from a dying Etherian elder who had spent centuries memorizing the locations of every hidden prison in the galaxy. Nexus Station lay deep in the heart of Council space, protected by automated defense platforms and surrounded by the debris of dead worlds. "It's massive," whispered Navigator Kim Hai-jin as the human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Through the main view screen of Admiral Shin's flagship, they could see the station rotating slowly against the backdrop of a red giant star. It was easily 50 kilometers long, shaped like a massive ring with thousands of docking ports and prison modules attached like growths on a diseased tree. Scanner readings show nearly 200,000 life signs, reported Commander Park So-young from her science station. 12 different species, all supposedly extinct according to Council records. Admiral Shin Dong-wook stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching as his fleet of nearly 300 human vessels formed attack formations. Hospital ships hung back behind the battle line, their cargo bays converted into refugee processing centers. Mining ships had been equipped with cutting lasers to breach the station's hull. Even luxury cruise liners were present, their passenger decks ready to house thousands of rescued beings. "Sir, long-range scanners are detecting massive energy signatures approaching from the galactic core," reported Tactical Officer Lieutenant Yu Jae-hoon. "It's the largest fleet I've ever seen. The Hegemony Enforcement Fleet materialized out of hyperspace like a thunderstorm made of metal and energy. Over 800 warships, each one dwarfing the largest human vessel, arranged themselves in perfect battle formation between the humans and Nexus Station. At the center of the enemy fleet, the massive dreadnought Subjugator opened a communication channel. Admiral Korthoval appeared on the human view screens, his reptilian features twisted with contempt. The Hegemony commander was nearly 9 feet tall, with armor-plated skin and eyes like burning coals. "Human vessels, you are in violation of Galactic Council Mandate 247 Alpha," Korthoval's voice boomed across all frequencies. "You are interfering with legal council operations. Stand down immediately or face the consequences." Commander Park So-young, now Director of Xenological Sciences for the new alliance, stood at a holographic display showing star charts of the galaxy. Red markers indicated former prison sites, while green markers showed thriving colonies that had been established from the rescued populations. "The rehabilitation programs are exceeding all expectations," Park reported, her voice filled with pride. "The Etherian homeworld now supports over 2 million inhabitants, with human terraforming technology restoring the crystal formations that their people need to survive." The display shifted to show the lush purple forests of the restored Etherian world, where silver-skinned beings worked alongside human engineers to rebuild cities that blended organic growth with advanced technology. Former prison stations throughout the galaxy have been converted into multi-species research facilities and colonies, Park continued. Nexus Station alone now houses nearly 500,000 beings from 12 different species, all working together on projects that benefit the entire alliance. But it wasn't all celebration. The fall of the old Galactic Council had created chaos throughout known space. When member species learned about the extinction protocol, many governments collapsed as their populations revolted against leaders who had supported or ignored systematic genocide. "The Hegemony Coalition has fragmented completely," reported Intelligence Officer Commander Zhang Sung-ho via holographic projection from his ship near the old Council homeworld. "Former member species are either joining our alliance or establishing independent governments. The few remaining hegemony strongholds are isolated and losing support daily." Jinwoo watched the tactical display showing the new political reality of the galaxy. Where once the Council had ruled with absolute authority, now dozens of smaller governments and the growing alliance of forgotten worlds were establishing new relationships based on cooperation rather than domination. Captain Kim. Taehyun approached with a datapad, his expression mixing excitement with concern. As head of the Alliance's Exploration Division, he had been tracking anomalous readings throughout the galaxy's outer regions. "Admiral, our long-range sensor networks have identified 47 more systems marked as sterile on Old Council." "Charts," Kim reported. "Each one shows signs of artificial structures and potential life signs." Jinwoo felt a familiar mixture of hope and anger. Every new discovery meant more people had been condemned to slow death in hidden prisons. But it also meant more lives that could still be saved. "The most interesting development comes from the Luminary archives," Kim continued, activating a holographic star chart that showed the galaxy's outer rim regions. Their energy-based memory storage contains star charts dating back over 1,000 years. They've identified 3 more species that simply vanished from galactic records 500 years ago. The display showed distant star systems in unexplored regions beyond the traditional galactic boundaries. The Luminary delegate present, a shifting pattern of golden light, pulsed with what their translators interpreted as urgency, the E. "Deep memory shows the architects, builders of living worlds," the Luminary communicated through electromagnetic pulses. "The gardeners, who grew forests among the stars. The dreamers, who painted reality with thought itself, all vanished when the Council's reach extended to the far edges." Jinwoo studied the star charts, noting the distances involved. These weren't prison stations hidden within known space. These were exile destinations in the galaxy's most remote regions, places so far from civilization that rescue would have seemed impossible. "How long would it take to reach these systems?" he asked. Navigator Lieutenant Song Hye-jin consulted her calculations. "With our current technology, approximately 8 months each way, we'd need to establish supply bases along the route and coordinate with multiple exploration fleets." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. This wouldn't be a rescue mission. It would be the largest exploration expedition in galactic history, venturing into regions where no one had traveled for centuries. Dr. Yoon Ha-na, now head of the Alliance Medical Corps, raised a concern. That weighed on everyone's minds. "Admiral, if these species have been isolated for 500 years, their survival systems will be in far worse condition than anything we've encountered before. We might arrive to find empty facilities, or we might find people who have been waiting 5 centuries for someone to remember they exist," Jinwoo replied firmly. He looked around the assembly chamber, seeing in each alien face the same determination that had driven humanity to challenge the galaxy's most powerful organization. These beings had been written off as dead, but they had survived, adapted, and now thrived as part of something greater than any of them could have achieved alone. The old council ruled through fear and isolation, Jinwoo announced to the assembly. They made people disappear by convincing everyone that no one would care enough to look for them. But they underestimated something fundamental about intelligent life. We don't abandon our own. He activated his communicator, sending orders to fleet commanders throughout Alliance space. All exploration vessels, prepare for extended deep space operations. Medical ships, load full surgical and rehabilitation equipment. Engineering teams, pack terraforming gear and emergency life support systems. Lieutenant Bay looked concerned. Sir, the Outer Rim is completely uncharted territory. We have no idea what we'll find out there. Hostile species, dangerous phenomena, or worse. Jinwoo smiled, the same expression he'd worn when he first decided to investigate the forbidden Kappa 7 system. That's exactly why we're going, Lieutenant. Because somewhere in that darkness, people who need help are waiting for someone to care enough to find them. The Alliance fleet that departed New Haven Station 3 days later was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships flew alongside vessels grown from living crystal, bioships that pulsed with organic life, and formations of pure energy that could travel between stars without traditional spacecraft. As the Relentless Hope led the expedition into the void between galaxies, its cargo bays filled with supplies for species they had never met, Jinwoo stood on the bridge watching the stars stretch into infinity. Behind them, the Alliance continued to grow stronger each day, built on a simple principle that had changed the course of galactic history. Everyone deserves to be found. Everyone deserves to be remembered. And humanity would never stop looking. The deepest reaches of space, on worlds that had been forgotten by time itself, ancient automated systems detected approaching ships and began powering up emergency beacons that had been silent for 500 years. Help was finally coming. The sign end.